send it to me, send me a link.
Yeah, I can do that, definitely.
Great.
And Stelios, we're just waiting on as well. Yes. Perfect. So how are things going over in Greece? Oh, hang on, here we go. What's that last here now? I was just about to ask you about how the COVID cases and restrictions are going over there.
Yeah, we're not very strict, but we have problem. It's been since the start of the year that the cases every day are a lot, above 20,000 for Greece. We have 10 million population. It's too much.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of restrictions, but life goes on. So
yeah, I think we've just got to learn how to to sort of live with or deal with or work around. What might come.
We all hope by Easter it will be better. So.
Yeah, I think as soon as the warmer weather comes as well, it's always nice. It's always, the cases tend to drop when the warmer weather comes along and the doors are open and things like that. So what sort of events have you got planned for this year?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
What sort of events do you have planned for this year?
We have many kind of events. One of the kinds we have is medical events.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
And Stelios can say more about it. We have many medical events in many times twice a month or 3 times, and we need something, a platform, an internet platform that would be easy for us to use.
Yeah, perfect.
As I told you in the email I sent you, we don't, we do everything else. We need the platform mostly, and see if we can use it the way we would like.
Yeah, and so do you, so what do you use? So walk me through sort of a little bit about, the registration. Do you use a different registration platform to say abstract or paper management versus apps, websites? What do you use at the moment?
Yes, Stelios is the man to answer that. So,
now we have made a custom platform. We use our own registration system. We use our own abstract submission system, and but it's a little bit complicated because you have to be sort of IT to use it. So something more easy, and we need to know about the customizations that we can make in this platform, because our customers now they have made up their minds, and they need something strict. They need to be able to change the exhibition areas, change the registration forms, change everything. Also, a very important thing is that we need the ability to send certifications after the event, based on the time that every user is attending in the main hall. And also we need a very, let's say, dynamically event program, with links to join the live event, with the time, you know, all these things that we used to do in the physical event now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, yeah, Events Air has got a 30-year sort of heritage of event management sort of software and technology. So we were very much in that sort of pre-COVID live event space. And then when COVID hit, our developers then created the online platform for your virtual element to the event. But essentially, it takes everything from your program and your information online. So I'll hopefully walk you through that sort of structure today and just show you how you can easily sort of plan your event as you always used to, but then you just deciding whether you're supplying login links to join online or whether you are actually having barcodes and scanners and printing off badges, you know, in person, or a bit of both, you know, in the hybrid sense. Okay. Right. Have you come across Events Air before?
We know that some PCOs in Greece use it. The feedback is that it is a very well documented, let's say, program that anyone can use, and we wanted to see this.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I always say that if you know somebody that uses Events Air, then have a chat to them. You know, that you'll get the much more sort of probably, I don't know, maybe unbiased. I like to think I give a very transparent view of the platform. But yeah, certainly talk to people who use it and see how they use it. It's a very flexible system. So where you're saying about sort of customizing registration forms, exhibition stands, you can absolutely do all of that. So if you have around an hour free, what I'll do is I'll go through a bit of a presentation about us and who we are and, you know, what the sort of platform can do for you. Then I'll hop into the platform itself and show you, you know, the sort of the end-to-end event management. Yeah, a bit of a high-level view of, you know, invitations, registrations, program management, taking it online, and showing you then that online platform. And that will easily fill an hour. I'll try and keep it nice and entertaining for you.
Okay. Before we start, can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I guess it will be answered in the meantime, but how much of this we will be able to edit and manage ourselves?
All of it. So our sort of, I mean, I say all of it, you know, obviously there's certain sort of the way that the platform is built that is uneditable, but the Events Air is a very customizable platform to suit your brand, your data capture, your registration types, how you want the platform to look, outward facing to your attendees. I'll show you all the areas that you can configure and customize yourself. And the way that we deliver it certainly in the subscription model is that we take you through structured training and onboarding. For the first 60 days, you'll have a dedicated training manager assigned to you. And there's also online self-paced training that's always available. And that takes you through all of the core functionality of Events Air, followed by coaching hours with our team to go through any sort of specific workflows like, you know, abstract submission setup, or, you know, maybe if you're managing hotels or travel and transfer, maybe obviously when COVID lifts, or maybe even just, yeah, basically any additional coaching in any areas of the platform that you want. Following that, you then have 24/7 support from our support team. So our sort of ethos and the way that we deliver our platform is very much, you know, we give you the training, we give you the support, you're free to go and run as many events as you like that look however you want, and it's any sort of style of event as well. So you might even start running weekly workshops or, you know, seminars, for want of a better word, as well as those larger conferences and exhibitions that you have. So yeah, it's very customizable. So let me just share my screen and I'll sort of walk you through all these different areas. Right, I won't make this too arduous in PowerPoints. I hate a PowerPoint, but it does make sure I cover all the pieces that that I need to sort of walk you through. So this is what I'll do today. A little bit about us, the technology, the user journey, but also from the attendees journey as well. And then I'll hop into the platform itself, and then we can discuss the packages and the way that we support your journey going forward. So we've been, as I just mentioned a minute ago, we've been developing event management software now for the last 30 years. So we very much, we very much know what event planners need and want. And actually, a lot of our product development does come from our existing customers because we have an open wish list, if you like, or suggestions box. So our in-house developers are very agile and can look to make sure that the platform is as modern and as suitable for our event planners as possible, which was really demonstrated when COVID hit. Of course, the events industry was just sort of bewildered and didn't quite know what to do with all these lockdowns. Our developers within 60 days created a way of getting those events online and making sure they stayed alive by using the on-air platform. And since then, it's just been a constant evolution because, of course, the first sort of importance was very much a working solution to keep these events online. And then, of course, now that we've got that, it's just now enhancing it with engagement tools and host feeds and exhibition halls and meeting hubs and everything else you'll see a bit later on today. So we are a global organisation. Our head office is in Australia, in Brisbane. That's where the majority of our staff base sits, with the accounts and the development team in there. Also some support staff are based over there. But then we also have offices here in the UK and also North America, which then means you've got 24/7 support from us. So no matter what time of day or night you call us, you can reach one of our team. So some of our customers have been things like the Commonwealth Games, the Olympic Games. The Commonwealth Games actually this year has been ran using events there, but also larger sort of political, high security events such as G20s, G8s, Apex. But definitely the largest proportion of our customers are PCOs like yourself that manage conferences and events. And those professional conference organisers, because Events is an unlimited platform, unlimited events and unlimited registration model, it does allow PCOs to go away and build their client base or even offer more to their existing clients for the same fixed costs for the year. Oh, and obviously pre-COVID, travel, like the sort of nice guys, the travel and incentive market was very much suited to Events Air as well, because there are a whole host of tools which allow you to manage travel and accommodation and transfers and reporting and everything else that ties all that in. And as I mentioned before, just finally there, we've got 24/7 in-house support for you. So some of our global clients on the left-hand side, we've got some of the larger corporates that use Events Air. Then moving on to the sort of political and governmental organisations that use Events Air. Universities make great use of Events Air. Now this really ties in as well with your things like certificates of attendance. Because they are doing those regular courses through using Events Air, you can then create those certificates of attendance. And if you use the membership module, you can then also have CPD points, CME points attributed to your contact records in there and track all of their history. And then on the right-hand side is very much the sort of market that I typically work with, and that's the PCO element there. So ICA you might be familiar with, IAPCO certainly, large organisations in the European region. Okay, so the technology platform itself is fully GDPR compliant. We're PCI compliant to the highest level as well. So that means that all of your data, well, basically, obviously it belongs to you. You are the data controller. We are just the processor. So we won't ever use your data or sell your data on. Your data is, you own your data. And what happens is in Events Air, you are allocated to your own segregated environment within the database. So you're super secure and then not affected by any high load by any other customers. Okay, so following the GDPR element of Events Air means that there's a whole host of, there's a toolkit essentially that's open to you. And what that does is that if one of your delegates came to you and said, I need to know what data you've got on me and where you've used it, at the click of a button, Events Air will create a report for you based on that contact's record, that person's details, and show you which events they've been to, what data you may have captured on them and where that data may have been used, because you may have captured things like dietary requirements that went on to the caterers and in the case of hotel bookings and things like that. And so at the click of a button, you can give that delegate the report to say, here you go, we've looked after your data professionally and securely. then at that point, they may say, I want to be forgotten. So you can completely remove their data from the database or simply anonymize them. So you retain any financial transactions you have against their name, but any personal data is anonymized and removed and replaced with an ID number. Okay, so the platform itself, because of our 30-year history, we were very much based in the in-person events market. But when COVID hit, we didn't need to sort of reinvent the wheel as such. All we needed to do was create the ability to take all of that information online, which is what we did with On Air. And then now, of course, going forward, I think everybody's seen the silver lining actually that the COVID cloud gave us in that we can really extend our reach of audience. And so we can now have a hybrid elements for the people that still want to meet in person, but we're then not excluding everybody that wants to attend virtually. Maybe they can't travel or aren't able to travel. It doesn't mean it has to have an impact on your conference numbers. So Eventsair is an end-to-end event management platform. So we've designed it that way to make sure that all of your data stays in the same place. There's no need to sort of transfer data between systems because everything you need to build and deliver your event exists within Eventsair. So right from the start, we've got promotional tools and marketing automation that you can set up in Eventsair. So you can send out email invitations, maybe you're going to create a website with links to your registration form, and maybe even the website that you create in Eventsair exists within your main website, for example, if you wanted to, or your customer's website. It's essentially an event information site that you can create really easily. Then moving on to the registrations and the exhibitor bookings. So you can manage speakers, sponsors, exhibitors, delegates, groups. The whole lot can be configured in Eventsair to manage. And the registration forms and portals for your exhibitors, for example, are customizable to make sure that you're capturing the data that you need. And also it's a little bit like we try and make it almost like a self-serve portal as much as possible so that it takes all the pressure off you as the organizer. You simply open up these portals to capture the information you need. You make the exhibitors or delegates aware of the information they need, and then they can just give you that online, which then feeds directly back into Eventsair. And then while all this is going on, you can prepare by using the run sheets or the project management tools in Eventsair. You may be managing functions or seated dinners, for example, running off reports and getting ready to check people into your event. And then when it's event time, you're simply deciding whether to send people login links to join online, or maybe you're going to meet and greet them at a venue, print off their badges, check them in, and handle them on site. Okay, so it really is, end to end. And of course, once it's all been delivered, you can then revert back to the reports and maybe even send out surveys to gauge people's feedback. So this is a typical this is what I've pretty much just covered a moment ago, but the attendee journey pre-event is you're sending out your emails and invitations. Now, it may be that you already have a list from your client that says, no, these are the people that I want to come to the event. In which case, that's fine. You can just get them in Eventsair with the bulk import tool, assign them a registration type, and then you can manage them from there on in. But if you are doing your invitations through Eventsair, you're going out to these various groups of attendees, maybe you're directing them to the website to then register, or you could actually just point them directly to the registration page. And then you capture their information relative to the event. And of course, you will configure and customize which of this information you need. Once they've given you that information, you can then send out a confirmation email that then says, thanks very much. We'll be in touch with your login details nearer the day. And that's exactly what happens. The email confirmation or communication goes out to them, to those specific groups with you in your event, and then directs them to download the app, which they might use to check into the event. You can also use the app for your virtual audience as well. Or if in the case of purely virtual, you might just send them a link to the login to the online portal, and then they're going to take part in all of the elements of your event that you configured. Sessions, breakout rooms, networking, exhibition halls, and everything else around that. So, let me just finish that one up. So is that all making sense so far? Was that a typical sort of journey and event creation that you guys go through?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, right, let's take a look then. Let me show you what Events Air actually is. So this is the back end of Events Air. Now, this is what you as the event organizer will use. So this is where all of your events can sit, and you can work in multiple events at the same time if you want to. It's a cloud-based, browser-based system, so you can access it anytime, anywhere. And if you have any temporary staff members joining you, that perhaps you only need to give them visibility of a certain event, or also modules within the event, you can configure those user access rights within here as well. So everybody that has access to Events Air, the administrator can control who sees what. I'm just going to open up this event here as an example. And so now when I first come into Events Air, I come to my dashboard, which is just a high level overview as to how the event's tracking at any time. So, you know, if I just want to sort of dip into events quite quickly, just to see how a few of them are going on, particularly with the amount of events you guys run, you can see at a glance your personalized dashboard. So each user has their own login. And so based on that login will depend on which dashboard is displayed for this event. Now, I've got everything switched on because, of course, this is my demonstration event along the bottom here. So I've got all of the modules switched on. You don't have to have all these modules on. When you create the event, you just simply toggle on and off the modules that you need as part of this event delivery. What you can also do, which saves you a host of time, a whole bundle of time, is that when you're creating your events, you can clone it from last time. So if your client has a number of events that are, you know, pretty much the same format every time, just clone it and then just change the times and dates that sessions are on. Maybe you're changing some speakers potentially. And so all of that sort of background foundation block building is already done for you. But if I am building this from scratch, I'm just going to head over to the setup panel here. And now this is where I am configuring the data capture configuration for the event. So I might ask them certain profiling questions. So we call them marketing tags, but essentially they're questions that build the profile of the people in your database. And the benefit of those is that you can sort of capture their well, like I said, their profile, but it means then that if you have an event coming up in the future that might be fairly niche or only open to people with specific interests, you can filter your database based on those marketing tags, and therefore you're marketing out to the right sort of group of people in there. Now, before I create any outward facing content, I'm firstly all going to need to have my brand associated with this event. So this is the event brand. And this will control the look and feel of everything that goes out or outward facing of the platform. So things like interactive sites, which are, you know, your registration pages, any portals that I direct people to, any emails that I send out can all have this brand associated with them. And all I need to do is just put in the headers and the footers in here, and then I just choose the brand to reflect on those communications or portals. Now, if the client has quite a specific style that they want to reflect, then I can come into the customize style piece here. I might add a style sheet into the background. So that's the background of the page that I'm creating. But also if I need to sort of reflect a specific hex code for the colors, I can just simply put those in there. And then that then is part of the brand. Okay. So registration types. This is normally one that people say, well, how many registration types can I have? You can have as many as you like in Events Air. You can configure as many different registration types that apply to this event as you wish. And you can also categorize them into groups, which makes it really easy for reporting or also sort of making bulk changes. And also communications as well. You know, that's really helpful in there because throughout Events Air, there's a filter tool. So in the case of, you know, if I want to sort of send a specific email or marketing message out to them, I can just filter based on these tags that are associated with this. So I might have a cost associated with this ticket type. Whether I'm going to enable multi-currency or not, it's just a simple checkbox and configured in the setup. I might also have a limit on how many of these potential ticket types I want to sell. Now, this might become really useful, particularly with hybrid events. And if I've got a venue space that can only accommodate a number of people at the venue, then everybody else has to be virtual. I can just set this inventory to that number. And also, if I've got an inventory set against it, I can then have an alert triggered. So if I'm reaching, say, 70% or 80% of that inventory, I can have an alert triggered. And then from there, I can then do further sort of manipulation of how I'm going to direct my delegates. Now, this is a bit of a throwback from pre-COVID, but you can have accompanying persons, and what that does is that you're capturing their details and then communicating with them, as a group, as a sort of person and accompanying person. But also packages as well. This is quite useful for things like invited speakers. You might include a package that has a hotel room included and maybe a dinner ticket included, things like that. You can configure your packages to suit. And in the case of exhibition management, of course, exhibitors, they really bring in a bulk of your revenue. And so you really need to give them some good value or good reason to attend. A good way of doing that, as well as lead retrieval options, which we have in Events Air, you can also configure them a meeting diary, which is where you can say, look, I'm going to tee you up with the key buyers or key suppliers, and I'm going to have this pre-scheduled diary available to you. You can do that, or you might also just have an online meeting diary open where everybody can go in and select who they want to meet with, select the slot, and then on both sides, they can then log in, see who's requested meetings, confirm those meetings, and that then creates them their diary, but it also feeds directly into the app that you would have available for them as well. Okay. So I won't spend too long on the rest of this. This is the data capture configuration. I'm going to get into now the sort of invitation registration process for you. So if I've already got a list of people to invite, I might just import the data here from an Excel sheet, and all you need to do is match up first name, last name, email address. That's if your clients or if you've got an existing database of people to invite out to. If not, I might just be creating my email communications here. So within the communications, I can create my documents. Now I'm going to just have, let's go this invitation here. So if I'm used to using something like MailChimp or Stamplier, then I still can, or any other email builder tool, I still can use that if I want to, if I'm familiar with that, to create a really stylized mailer. Or I can just use the what you see is what you get builder here in Events Air, which is much like building like a Word page, for example. I'm going to bring in my my images. I've got my headers at the top here. But here I can bring in my personalized, make it a personalized message, drawing on the details of my database by just simply pulling in that merge field there. And then, of course, I need the call to action button, which is going to be a register now or express your interest here or whatever it might be. And that will link directly to a registration form that I've created in Events Air. Okay. So that registration form that I create in Events Air is just built in the online build tool here. And I can create as many different registration sites as I want, I might just have one, but using the page display logic, I can direct the delegates down the right pathway. So, for things like, say if you had, I don't know, VIP or guest speakers or whatever it might be, you might actually push them down a different pathway. But what you'll see here, when I create these pages, it's just a drag and drop builder, which makes it super quick and easy for you. And it just draws on all the pieces that I configured in the setup panel. So here's my different registration types that I created, my different profiling questions that I created that I want to ask, and all the other sort of different elements that I've configured just fall here, ready for me to just drag and drop onto the page in the order that I want it to go in. Now I could make this a simple one-page form, or if it's a bit more of a complex event, I might put page breaks in and have different pages to sort of walk through, like contact details, registration options, function options, agenda options, whatever, the choice is yours. So that's how you can completely customize these pages to suit your workflow. And then if I'm taking payments, I can just simply put payment page on here. Now what we do is we provide you the ability to connect to your existing e-commerce gateway. So you can directly deposit the funds into your nominated account. We don't ever take a hold of those at all. We don't, we're not a bank. We don't want to get involved in that. You can directly deposit the funds into your own nominated account there. Okay, so then once I've created this page, I might actually have what we call submit actions. So if a new registration is created and submitted, I can have an alert sent to me as the event organizer to make me aware that somebody's registered, but also it can trigger a confirmation email as well. So I might actually say, right, send confirmation email. I'll pick the email that I've configured in the communications panel, and that will automatically then go out to the registrant on there. So what this registration page looks like, I'll show you that in just a sec, but you can embed the link to that page wherever you like. So you might even just have this as a link on your existing web page or on a web page that you create an event says, register here, click here, and you'll come to a page that, this is quite a basic page to be honest, but something like this. So it'd be welcome to the conference. I probably should put an image in there really just to make it look a little bit more pretty, but then these are the sort of data capture fields that I've configured here. Now, any of these could be mandatory fields, and you might have a rollover information button on here as well, just to guide them through the journey of registering. But also, if this was an invitation-only event, you could have this pre-populated with their details on there, and then just to make it obviously a lot easier for them to register. But also, if it's an invitation-only event, you could make it so that they couldn't edit those contact details in there, so they couldn't then pass it on to all their friends to come to an invitation-only event. Okay, so maybe you're going to ask some profiling questions. You're going to give them the option of their ticket type on there. If you were doing things like dinners, you can also capture dietary requirements. Now, the nice thing about this is that the data you capture, you can immediately share and seamlessly share with your venues or your caterers. They can see exactly what sort of diets they need to consider and to cater for, but also, once you've allocated that person to a specific seat or table, your caterers can also log on again securely to their own portal to see that information. So they're not pestering you all the time to get this updated information from you. Now, with the GDPR piece, we give you this template to use if you want to. And the reason why we create this template is that it basically covers all the boxes, or covers all the bases for you. So why you need to ask their details, who's going to look after their data, why you need it, why you're processing it, and maybe who else may see it and how long you're going to keep it for. Now, what some event planners do is just remove this entirely and have a link to their existing policies. That's absolutely fine. We just put this in there to just sort of help out the people that may not necessarily have those existing policies in place. Okay, then we go through to a summary where they can check the options that they've put in. You'd obviously have a few more terms and conditions in there, and then you just go simply through to a payment page where you can process your payment. Now, you will configure which payment method you're prepared to accept. So I've just selected on here a credit card payment, a purchase order number, or a pay later option for them. But of course, you can just set up what you're prepared to take. Now, in the case of if you actually set up the exhibition portal with those sorts of payments, you can have like a structured payment process, so like 30% as a deposit, and then payments thereafter. That's entirely up to you. Now, once this person has gone through the registration page and press submit, of course, they're going to get their confirmation email, which I'll just show you this now. Now, because to create a confirmation email is a lot more, it's going to be the drag and drop builder again. So it's very straightforward to create because, of course, now we're confirming the data that we have in Events Air. So I'm going to confirm their contact details. I'm going to confirm their registration types, where they're staying, if we're doing that. But this is also really useful for your presenters as well. So once you've got your program and you've allocated your speakers into those sessions, this will automatically create them a sort of itinerary as to which sessions they've been assigned to, but also their role within those sessions. And this will have your branding on it as well. So when it automatically goes out, you'll then have your branding associated with it, and then these details go out. Now, this is that automated process, so you haven't got to do anything about this. You can set and forget Events Air to do all of this for you. Oh, this QR code's a bit of a throwback again to when people used to print out their confirmation email, screw it up, chuck it in their bag, and turn up. Now, of course, you just have the app, or if you're logging online, you don't need that at all. Now, what also happens when somebody registers is that then you create the contact card. So the contact card starts filling up with those profiling questions that I may have asked them, their registration type, and anything else that they've selected as part of the event sort of journey. Now I won't go through these two bits in too much. Okay, so does that fully explain the sort of invitation registration side of things? Yeah, I'm going to nod. Now, of course, throughout this as well, you can draw on reports. So I might actually have my registration statistics in here, any marketing statistics in here. Now, any of these reports can be made available through a web link. So if you do have any key stakeholders, or even just for yourself, if you have a report that you access on a regular basis, you can simply just have this set up behind this link. So you don't necessarily need to log into Events Air each time. You just click on the link that you've stored and you'll have that information at your fingertips. Now, in the case of your client, they quite often have a number of reports that they ask from you on a regular basis. You can actually create them a secure portal for them to log into, and then you can have as many different reports available to them in there as you like. And again, that just takes the pressure off you. You haven't got to sort of try and create these for your attendees all the time, for your clients all the time. So now we come to the agenda builder in Events Air. So I can have multiple tracks, multiple days, and all this going on. Now this again is another drag and drop builder. I simply drag and drop on the segment. I choose whether it's a session or a function or maybe a header or title in here, fill in the details, and this then starts to build my program for me. Now, incidentally, if I'm building my program in the agenda tab here or in the setup, it will automatically update everywhere that information is surfaced. So if I have created an app or a website, it will automatically update across wherever it's surfaced. Now, when I'm creating my session, I've got my time. Maybe it's a single session, maybe it's a concurrent session. I've got the start and end dates in here. A little bit of information about the session, because that will also then pull into the online environment and also the apps and websites. And then if I want to scan entry and exit, of course, this is important for your certifications that you need to give a certificate of attendance. You want to actually make sure they've turned up for the whole lot of it. Now, this works across both in-person and virtual. So in the in-person environment, you've typically got somebody on the door scanning their badge, scan them in, scan them out, and then, of course, you've got their timestamps. But it also works on the online environment as well. Events Air will track when they've joined that session and when they've left it. And that, of course, pulls through to all your reports. Now, as part of this session as well, if I want polling and Q&A enabled, I'll just simply check the boxes. Now, of course, on your welcoming or opening address, you're not going to have those switched on, but certainly for breakouts and concurrent sessions that happen throughout the day, you probably want polling and Q&A in there, just so that your presenters get a lot of interaction with the audience. Now, if I am taking this online and streaming this virtually, all I need to do is come onto the online tab here, enable live streaming. Now I can select who has access to this particular session as well. So because it may be a paid for session, or maybe only open to people of a certain registration category. So I can filter my audience there. And then I'm going to decide how I'm streaming this session. It might just be a live studio session. Now, within Events Air, we have our own streaming platform called Aircast. So, and that again is a set and forget feature in Events Air. You don't have to have endless links and endless links for all your sessions. You don't then need to have a different provider for group management or breakouts or live host feeds. Aircast sits across your event and allows you to run, sessions, panel discussions, breakout rooms, one-to-one meetings, exhibitor meetings, live host. Oh, what have I missed? Networking? Did I say networking? I don't know. Networking as well in there. Now, when it comes to sessions, it may be that your presenter is a little bit nervous and says, well, actually, I'd rather pre-record it, but I still want to be there to answer any questions or push out the polls. That's fine. We can just set that up as a synchronized video. What you've done is you've stored that recording, maybe on your Vimeo or YouTube platform. You put in the video link in there. And when the session's live, the presenter can still join the backstage environment, watch the session go on, maybe push out polls at the right time, and maybe just answer the questions through the feature in the backstage piece there. So there's lots of different options in there. Now, also, if you have an AV team on site, this is, for some of those larger conferences, potentially you've got an AV team managing, different shots or, swipes or transitions on your presentations and stages. They can simply connect through the RTMP feed here. So your AV team will be videoing the stage. They'll put it through something like vMix or OBS or some kind of, platform that they use to blend everything together, and then it can push seamlessly into on air. And so that's, like I said, it's really useful for these sort of opening and closing sessions. But using the Aircast Studio is a way that you can really minimize your AV costs for all of those concurrent sessions or sessions that happen throughout the day. Okay, so that's how we've built our program. We're now going to take this online. I'm going to just switch to sort of more virtual sort of track now. So when we want to push people to the online environment, we have two different options. We have a 2D mode and a 3D mode, and you can enable one or the other depending on both your audience, but also what suits the type of event that you're running. And so what I need to do is enable my on-air platform here, and to create the whole online environment is really easy. So again, we just work through the menus on the left-hand side. So when it's live from and to, because when you're delivering your first event in Events Air and maybe your delegates haven't experienced it before, I find it quite useful to open up a day or two beforehand, just to allow people to get in, click around, familiarise themselves with the system, maybe create some meetings for the day of the event, and then they're all good to go. They can also download handouts and slide decks and things like that for the sessions as well before your event goes live for real. And then to create the content on my online event, again, it's just a menu system on the left-hand side. So I'm going to set up what it's called, what they see when they first sign in, and then there's just different options on here. So if I want to show a virtual name badge, whether I want to include a welcome video, if I'm going to enable gamification, and you can see they're just checkboxes as we go through. You just toggle them on and off depending on what you want to reflect. And this again is clonable. I don't know if that's even a word, but you can clone these setups each time as well. Now with the style, I can actually get into them there and edit it anyway. But if I've created my agenda using specific colours, for example, in here, I can then pull that straight through. I might enable lower third graphics. So when my person is actually on stage, I can then have a lower third graphic show on here, and I can configure how that actually looks and feels. I'm going to configure who's sitting on my live support desk. So within the portal, there's a live support desk that people can access. And these are my team members here that have access to that. And then just a couple of other pieces before we actually see it. I have the advanced styling options open in our premium model. And what that does is then allows you to replace all of the standard images that we have in there. So I might change the page background from a solid colour that's standard to a more wallpaper backdrop in there. And maybe I'm going to change the sort of powered by logos in there as well for my own conference logo. So once we've enabled that, then we're ready to go live. We've managed our attendees, we've marketed out to them, we've got them all set up. We're now ready to go live. An email communication will go out with a tokenized login link for them. So all they need to do is click on the link and they'll get into the event. And so in fact, let me just sign out of this so I can show you the journey in. So I'll show you our 2D version first of all, and then I'll also show you what the 3D option can offer, because particularly for exhibitors, I think it's a really nice value add for them. So I've got my email, I've got the tokenized link. I then come to this page. Of course, this would be configured to suit your conference brand in there. And then all I'm going to do then is sign in. Now, the first time you sign in, what they'll be invited to do is check their settings. So let me just go into here. So this is the page they'll see when they first sign in. So if I've enabled the welcome video, this is what shows here. They can play that, and it will walk them through the event, what to expect, where to go if you get stuck. Now, this could also be driven by one of your sponsors. So if you have a key sponsor, you might actually get them to create the welcome video, giving them further exposure to the attendees. Then with Meeting Hub, this is, you can configure these additional questions that you may want to ask. This is really useful if you have a large audience, because through the Meeting Hub, it then allows your attendees to filter who best they want to meet with. It might be people from a certain area or certain category in there. And then they're going to confirm what details they're prepared to share with each other when they connect, and then also check their camera and microphone settings. Now this piece here, this is a really simple but really effective piece. So although you may be creating your event in, say, the Greek time zone, you may have attendees coming from the UK, from Asia Pac, from the North America. What this will do is that show the sessions in their local time, or when they're going live at their local time zone. So they haven't got to try and figure out, time zones across the world. That's one of my pet hates, when I join online and I can't figure out when the session's running. So then when they first join, then this agenda, this program here is pulling directly from the agenda that you've built in EventShare. Okay, now if I had filtered the audience, of course, when they log in, they'll only see the sessions that apply to them when they come in. Now, if this were live, they'd see join here. As you can see here, I've got join the sessions, but I've just got this set up as my pre-recorded content just for demonstration purposes. But if this session were going live and this would join, I'd just simply click join and it would start playing for me in here. Let me just mute Alec there for a moment and just pause him. So then the session starts playing. Now, whether this is a panel discussion, somebody going through their slide deck, somebody just enter, it's entirely up to you how that feed is coming out to your attendees. Now you can see on the right-hand side here, I've got polling and Q&A switched on. Of course, if I hadn't toggled them on in the setup, then they just wouldn't show there. Now with the questions as well, and actually the polling too, I can moderate. First of all, I can moderate who can see the questions that have been posted. So I might actually choose to moderate all the questions. So only the moderator in the backstage sees the questions and responds to them. However, if there's a really good question that's come up, I can then choose to share that with the rest of the audience. But then also, I might even invite that person onto the main stage with me to present that question to the panel and further discuss it. There's all those tools sitting in the On-Air studio in order to sort of, invite people in onto the main stage. And when you're done with them, they just move seamlessly back into the audience view. Okay, same with polling. If I do push a poll out, I can choose to hide the responses until I'm ready, because I might run it for, say, 30 seconds while everybody's voted and then choose to share the responses, or I can just leave it open and people can see how the responses are tracking. Now this session information piece, when I've allocated a speaker, I can also have their bio show on there. Now this links seamlessly in with the abstract submission process. So if it's part of the abstract submission process, I've captured their bio, and then maybe as part of the main speaker registration, I've got their headshot as well. That will then seamlessly pull in when I've assigned them to this session. Okay, and if I've assigned multiple presenters, such as a panel, they'll all show in there as well. And also you can see here as well, I've got a sponsor logo too. Now also, ways in which the audience can get involved is the discussion forum. Now, I quite like this because it keeps all of the sort of general chit-chat out of the more structured Q&A or live questions in there. But again, you can switch this on and off and also moderate it, remove any unsavory comments if you want to. Now, handouts as well. So I might actually have a download of the slide deck, or I might actually have a link to their e-poster, or maybe even just their page, or whatever it might be for the presenters. I can have as many of those in there as I like. And I may also choose to make notes on this session through this portal. And then all I then need to do is export those out whenever I'm ready. And that will create an export directly out to my email address. So that's a sort of audience view in the 2D mode here. What I'm going to show you now is what happens from the backstage. So when it comes to your presenters, everybody joins the event in exactly the same way. Everybody goes through the login process, they join and they see the event. And then it really just depends on what role they've been assigned to this session as to how they then join it. So they haven't got to go through their email, finding their links or anything else like that. As an attendee, if I'm just viewing this, I join it the way I did. But if I'm actually allocated as a presenter to this, when I click join, I'll then come into this backstage environment that we have here. Now I'm going to join it as a host. Typically your host will have already started the session prior to the speakers joining. But just to give you a view of this now, let me just change my camera to one that isn't being hijacked by Teams. Just a little bit, there we go. Right, so now I'm in here. Now this black screen here is what is seen by the audience view. So at the moment they would be able to hear me if I hadn't switched my mic off. But as soon as I add myself in, this is now me presenting to the audience. So I might have my lower third graphic on there, doing the little welcome. And then when the presenters join, they'll actually come into the green room first. So I can meet and greet them, get them ready, change their camera, and have a chat to them without being heard on the main stage. So you've probably got a host, that is actually the sort of the glue of all this session. While some presenters are presenting, you might be bringing people in, getting people queued up. I might even have some media files that I queue in here as well, and I can just add them into the audience view. Okay, so in fact, let me just share my screen just to represent another feed coming in. So this could be another presenter, this might be my slide deck, whatever it might be, but you'll see that as soon as I select these feeds, I then have these templates as to how to lay them out on the main stage for the audience. And so if this were my presentation and I'm presenting it, I can just simply select this one here, cut it on, and now this is now me going through my presentation. If we were two presenters talking side by side, just simply select that, put us on, and then we're immediately talking to each other in there. So there's a whole host of tools in here which really minimises your AV costs, because you can actually handle this yourself with your team. Now, also from this backstage environment, you'll see that we can start things like breakout rooms. Let me just go with that one. We can start breakout rooms from here. Now, I can choose whether just to have randomly allocated breakout rooms based on the numbers of people in those rooms, or I may even allow them to choose a topic from which to go into in there. Now, if I've got a panelist that says, look, I'm happy to be part of your presentation, but I can't actually attend the whole thing, just let me know when you're ready for me, I can then create a tokenized link for them. I'll send it out to them on WhatsApp or email, whatever it might be. And as soon as they click on that link, they come into the green room. So they don't have to go through the sort of online registering process or logging in process. They come straight into the green room. We get them involved in the event. And as soon as we're done, they're then pushed out of the event. Okay, so if I want to sort of track my Q&A in here as well, that then is done through this button here. Let me just wait for this. My computer's sometimes a little bit laggy using Teams. Oh, there, no, just clicked it, there we go. So I can see the questions that come in. I can respond to them from here. So you might actually have somebody set up as just your moderator versus your host versus your presenter. You can configure a number of different roles that are associated with this session. Okay. We've also got interpretation. So I can set up as many different interpreters as I like. And so what they do is that they will sit in a version of this backstage environment watching the main stage. They'll be watching the main stage, providing their interpretation. And from an audience view, they'll have the audio options on the bottom of their screen. So they'll be watching the main stage, but listening to the audio feed of their interpretation that they choose. You may also have closed captions as well on there as well. In there, there's two, as in control room here. I can never remember where it is actually. There we go. Closed captions there as well. And again, for the audience view, there's just a CC button on there. They can click that. They can resize it, move it around on their screen, so they can have the closed captioning available for them. Any questions on the studio there?
No, for me, no. Everything is clear, yes.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay, there's quite a lot to cover in there, but hopefully I've sort of walked you through it in a fairly sort of straightforward way. Yeah, fab. So let me close this down. Okay, so are you guys still okay for time? Because I appreciate I haven't covered the exhibition, or we might have to do this in 2 meetings if you're struggling for time.
No, I don't have a problem with the time.
Neither do I.
No, you're good. Okay, fine. Because like I said, I appreciate there's quite a bit that we could cover. So while I'm in here as well, my exhibition hub. Now, prior to this, I would have managed my exhibitors. So potentially on my website, I've got a link that says, if I want to be an exhibitor, click here. That then directs them to a portal where you can give them different stand types and options and costs associated with it. And once they've confirmed that stand, you can also then configure a checklist that you need from them. So logos, profiles, staff names, things like that. And you can also allow them to configure their own set of lead retrieval questions as well. Now, as an organizer, you can choose to monetize that if you like. You can sort of put a rate against allowing them to have the lead retrieval. Now, the lead retrieval in EventSeo, I think, is fantastic personally, because in the live environment, all it does is that you give your an app version to your exhibitors. They scan the person's badge, and not only does it come up with their contact details, as you'd expect, it can also come up with those pre-configured questions that they've set up. So it might be, which of our products are you most interested in? When's the best time to reach you? What's your buying power? You know, what's your process? That's that each exhibitor can configure their own set of questions to ask as part of that meeting. Now that works in exactly the same way in the online environment as well. So if I'll tell you what I haven't done. I haven't set my exhibition live. Let me just change the dates of the exhibition. Let me just change it to today. Forgot to do that this morning. Let me just save that. There we go. So now when I go back, I go into my virtual stand. There we go. I'm now open for business. Now, what I'm also going to do actually is just log in as somebody else, just to represent a visitor coming to my stand. So just bear with me 2 seconds. Should have opened her up as well. Let me just grab her in the main demo. So I'm just going to get Sarah here logged in. Let's confirm all of these details. All right, so now she's logging in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to direct her to the to meet exhibitors here, and then I'm going to look in. Let me just check which stand I'm on. I'm on the Bitcoin stand, so let me just go back here. I think I'm in the providers. So you can see here I've actually categorized the exhibitors here as well into different sort of genres or what they're providing. And if not, I can just have them all as a a list here. And as I'm going through, I can see that there's somebody on this stand ready to meet with me, indicated by that green dot. I'll head into meet, and I'm going to request a live meeting, which is a video conversation with them. I could have also requested a chat, which is, just text-based chat with them if I prefer. It's again up to you. But as soon as I've requested it, I can see which position I'm at in the queue. And it may be that if I'm only sort of like, say, position 5, that's fine. What I'm going to do is download some of their brochures first. I might check out their FAQs while I'm waiting, and maybe view their video that they've got here as well. Or it may be that if I'm sort of 15 or 20 deep in the queue and they're quite busy, what I could actually do is connect with them and then just request a different time to meet. So it might be that, look, I can see you were busy, but how about we meet a little bit later on? Let's go for, well, probably not 9:30, 3:30. I only need 10 minutes of your time. And when that has been accepted, it will actually sit within their program on the main page. And I'll show you that just in just a second. It will actually sit in their timeline, indicating when they've got meetings booked. Now, from the exhibitor point of view, I'm on my stand and I can see here that there's somebody in the queue. If I open it up, I can see who it is, and then I can just start the meeting with them. Now I'm going to do this. I'm just going to have to work quite quickly in muting my microphone. Otherwise I get horrible feedback. Ooh, right, there we go. Now what I have done, I've got too many cameras. I've got too many cameras all working together or against each other, actually. Let me see if this will support 2 feeds. I think it will. Yeah, perfect. So this is me, the visitor, now meeting with also me, the exhibitor. So visitor and exhibitor. And so I could be chatting away to the exhibitor. Yeah, your products sound great. Actually, my boss really needs to see this. Let's get them involved. Now, if the boss was at the event, that's no problem. I can just find them in the attendee list and then ask them to join me in this meeting. If my boss is back at the office, I can create that tokenized link for them again. So it might be that, like, here's the link. Now that link is time sensitive, so they can't just click on it any time. I think it's live for about 15 minutes or so. And when they click on it, they just come straight into this meeting. But as soon as that meeting has ended, they're then kicked back out of the event, so they don't then get access to the rest of it. Now, from the exhibitor point of view, let me just take that off so I can see this information here as a visitor. As the exhibitor, you can see here now I've got lead capture as an option. So I can be going through these questions with the visitor. So I'm effectively getting a much more successful business outcome in a shorter period of time. So I can go through these questions. Thanks very much. We'll be in touch. See you later. Next. Because as an exhibitor, and what that really is the name of the game, to get the number of leads in. So this allows you to really put some structure around that and get a really good outcome from it. Okay, so let me finish that. I'll just close that. That meeting should end. Yeah, perfect. I've just stepped out of my exhibition under there. Now, as I mentioned before, if we'd made a meeting with somebody, that would then sit in my timeline to see when I've actually got a meeting booked with each other now. So it's nice and easy to see as we're going through the day. Because when things are live, there's a little tracker here that shows you where you're at in the program. And there's also a piece up here that tells you when the next function is due to start or when the next session is due to start. Now, also, if I wanted my attendees to meet quite organically, so that sort of meeting at the coffee shop type environment, I can get into here and view my attendees. I might have actually connected with them, and then I can have a video conversation with them. I can maybe send them an instant chat or send them a message. And then, of course, once I'm actually connected with them, I can then again create those meetings with each other as well. Then if the other person has agreed to connect with me, I can then also download their contact details and send them out to my email address as we did before up here. Okay, so just the other piece on here, resource gallery. This is where I can store all of my sessions, presenters or their slide decks in here. I've actually seen this used really effectively with e-posters. I've actually seen one of our customers that had about 17 pages worth of e-posters set up in here. So this could almost be like your e-poster hall if you weren't necessarily having e-posters as a main stage part of your presentations like we have here. So with e-posters, if I join, I've then got a list of e-poster presenters here. And if I go through them, I can see this is a sort of really classic poster as we used to have, but it may be that they also do, oh, that's another one. That's a sort of slide deck, if you like. But they may even actually have a video recording of their presentation in there. And as part of your abstract submission process, if it's going to be an e-poster, you might actually put parameters around that, it needs to be a video that's less than 2 minutes long, covering your topic, those sorts of examples there. Now, from an organiser's perspective, I can then at any point, oh, wrong one, get into the analytics here. And so at any point, I can see a sort of, real-time view as to who's online at what time. But really, I'm more interested in sort of running the reports. Although throughout the event, I might actually want to see who's in which sessions and when. It would actually show you, who's attended and which sessions are on now. But I can get into the report here. So let's just see, I want to track who's logged on. So if I go to on-air platform, I just need to see who's successfully signed in, because all of these are different reports I can choose. If I select that one, it will first of all give me an indication on screen so I can see at a glance what the information is here. But then what I can also do is just simply export that out to my email as well, and that will export it out in an Excel format, ready for me to further manipulate the data if I like. And if I really like data that much, I can do a comprehensive export of all the data touch points that I have for this event. So I can track, who went to what sessions, what they did within those sessions. For example, if I, just go on to reports here. Let me just go back onto reports. If I pick my session, let's just go to my one, which is ABC. Within that session, I can then select a report that then shows me who actually took part in Q&A, who took part in polling, who watched this on demand afterwards. Because if this is a video if this was a session that was delivered live, I can record that and then make it available for on-demand viewing post-event if I want to. Just turn admin mode off there. Okay. A few other pieces nice to have, so a bit of a gamification, so you can give your attendees sort of tasks and goals to complete. Now, this also is quite good for exhibitors and sponsors, because you can actually drive them to checking into exhibitors to gain the points, and then you can choose what they can redeem those points against. It might be instant redemption discount codes or a prize draw that you run at the end of the day. They can also sort of upload their images and photos to the event stream wall. Now, pre-COVID, and actually even now really when we get back to hybrid events, you can have this stream posted up to the big screens within your venue. So it used to be sort of dotted around People used to see, once they see somebody's selfie on there, oh my God, it just goes off. Everybody just wants to be part of it. And it also supports little short snippet videos, you know, like their sort of Snapchat style videos. So that's the sort of 2D environment, which is quite a straightforward, quite simplified way of delivering your conference. If you're running something a little bit more, you want something a bit more visually pleasing, you can switch to our 3D mode in here. And so again, let me just sign out, because I find this really good. If you're doing a hybrid event, what you can do is have all of your sort of scenes here replicate your venue. So each of these images here at the back can be changed. So you can use your own custom image that might be your actual venue. And then all I'm doing is configuring the clickable areas on screen as to, you know, where people go, what they see. So when I build this, I'm just overlaying the clickable areas and what they actually do for my attendees. So I'm just going to sign into this event. I'm going to pick up my AirTouch device, which is my digital way of navigating the event. Okay, so let's just log in. And again, this lobby scene as well can be changed to perfectly match your venue if you've got a hybrid event going on. And also, if I go into the sessions, let me just find that session we were in before. I can actually create my auditorium as well to match where my in-person attendees are too. And again, I'm just configuring the scene and then overlaying the clickable areas where I want people to go to. So if I've got polling and Q&A, I can simply enable them here as buttons, or I might actually have them going through the AirTouch device into the Q&A, into the discussion forum. Maybe I'm going to download my handouts from here as well. And so there's a whole host of tools that we can do there. Now, I'll show you the exhibition hall, seeing as that's what we saw before. So in my exhibition hall, I can configure different stand types depending on what what I'm going to give them as options, because it may be that you have a key exhibitor has a larger stand to the rest of the exhibitors in here. But again, I can then configure this stand to match their design. They can also set up sort of pop-up text, links to their FAQs, request the live chat or meeting as we did before, and links to their brochures as well. Now, if you wanted to, if you trust them, and B, if you want to take the pressure off you, you can allow the exhibitors to build their own stand as well. So you give them access just to their stand, and they can then configure, what videos they want in here, what the clickable areas they want them to say, and what the FAQs are, and they can build that for you if you want to. Some people don't. Some people say absolutely not. We need to handle that. Oh, I just wonder if Stelios had a question there. I think he's not the. So in addition to this as well, within the 3D mode, this allows you to also configure different custom scenes. So I can have as many different areas here going to going to different rooms within the event. So this particular one I've got set up just for my networking, and these buttons will come live as and when the time comes up. But I might also have it just linked directly to my meeting hub in here too. And I've got a similar thing. Oh, I can't remember if I changed the design of this. Oh yeah, this is quite basic really. I was struggling to find a good image online that I could pinch. But again, you just put in this image behind and select what people see in there. Oh, Stelios, we lost you briefly.
Sorry, I'm back again.
Oh, perfect. Right, so that's pretty much an overview of the online, the platforms that we create in there. So how do you think that sits so far? How do you think that could match your medical conferences?
Yes, I think that is perfect. Covers everything we need. Of course, we have some questions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I can actually go on for quite some time, but I'm really conscious that I don't want to sort of bore you. I haven't even sort of touched on the app as such, which you can create in there too. Now, I do want to show you this because I really like this piece. So within the app, this is your mobile app that you can create as a sort of companion app to accompany your event. But we definitely use this if you had an in-person element, and you might choose to use it for your virtual audience as well. And if I go into the agenda, find this session, this is the one that we were just looking at, I can then play the session recording. again. And so this could also be a live session as well. So if I was part of the in-person attendance, but actually I needed to leave early to get my plane or train back home, I could actually still be watching the sessions and sessions going on my app, and crucially taking part in the polling and Q&A. And same goes if it was networking. Haven't even touched on networking, but with networking as well, you know, they can use their phone to have those video conversations with groups. So I haven't even touched abstracts, but I think, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go through it, but I am conscious that I do overload people with a lot of information that they can have. So, yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think that covers everything. Some questions for me. About, let's start from the last one, for the application. This application is web-based. Everyone can just click a link and open it, right?
Do you mean the app is in the event or the app is in the mobile app?
The mobile app.
Yeah, so the mobile app is, you can have that. Let me just open it here to show you. You can have it available as a web-based app or native for Apple and Android users as well. So what they'll do is they'll go to the Events app by Events Air in the Apple Store or the Play Store, and then they download the app and then put in their unique app PIN. Let me just show you this here. They put in the unique app PIN, and then they get access to the app. So you can get it through Apple Play, Google Play, or HTML5 for everybody else. Typically, nobody really has Windows phones much anymore. It's either Apple or Android platform that they use. And so, yeah, it just downloads it natively to their phone.
Can I ask one question? Yes. Is there any Zoom or Teams or WebEx integration?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we go to the program here, when I'm creating my on-air or the virtual element of my event, and I've chosen, if I don't want to use Aircast, but I want to use my existing Zoom links, then all I need to do is, say if it's an interactive workshop as an example, I'll select that, and then I connect it using my my Zoom account here. And so in the back end of Events Hour, I would have configured the Zoom licenses or accounts that I have, and then connect that to the session.
Okay, and another question about, in the same page, the external RTMPs.
Yep.
Is it restricted to 720p? You can higher?
It is it's streamed at 720p. I don't know as much about that. I might have to dig in and send you over a document on that. But yeah, it's 720p, which is
because we have a green room doing some events. Sometimes we want to stream 1080p, and so that's a question you could answer sometime.
Yeah, of course. I'll just make a note of that, and I'll get back to you on that one.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anything else that's burning?
Yes. Can we go a little bit back to the registrations?
Yeah.
All the registrations, fields, everything. Is there a way to integrate with PayPal or some?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the application setup here, I've got my external connections. This is where I'll set up my different e-commerce gateways, for example. Now we connect to about 200, I keep saying it's 200, I might probably even more than that now, different gateways. And so what we'll do is you'll just select from your chosen gateway, which in this case will be PayPal. Let me just squeeze through all of these. So we just go, where are we? PayPal. So we've got PayPal 3-tier as well, if that's your connection that you've got. But essentially you just set it up and put in your vendor details, merchant details in here, and then that then enables that connection to be added to the registration form to direct those payments to your bank.
Let me see my notes.
Now, I'm happy to do an overview of abstract submission as well, if you want.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's okay, because sometimes I just think, oh, I could honestly talk for ages, and I don't mind, but I do appreciate that people might be getting sick of my voice. So within Events Air, when it comes to abstract submissions, you can set up, there's basically 3 portals which you can set up. There's the submission, the review, and the committee portal. And so let me just give you a view of this. And if you want to go through this in any more depth afterwards, absolutely happy. But essentially in Events Air, you will configure the portal and what you want to configure and accept for this abstract submission. So I've got my title there. I will configure which presentation types they can be considered for, because your opening session is probably an invited speaker and not going to go through this process. But if they want to be considered for a breakout room or a poster board or e-poster session, whatever it might be, you can allow them to select that there. You might also configure different themes and keywords that they can select from, because not only does this help you in allocating them to the right session or track in your program, it also helps you in allocating them to the reviewers as well, particularly if you've got panels of reviewers. Then we're going to capture any contributing authors and affiliations in there. So they've got the authors in here, affiliations in here, and you can add multiples. And when it comes to contributing authors, you can choose who the presenter is of this particular session as well, or paper as well, and also their bio. And that's, as you saw in the portal, that will automatically pull through to their speaker information if they're successful and get assigned to a session. Now, when it comes to review, if this is a blind review, the reviewer obviously wouldn't see this information, but it would still be stored against the person's contact record in the back end. Now, when it comes to the abstract itself, you can copy and paste it into this box here, maybe including the sort of special character keyboard for any formulas and things that might be included as part of that abstract submission. And also any supporting documents and charts and statistics, things like that. You can have multiple supporting documents in there as well. Now, if you don't want them to sort of copy and paste it in, what you can also have in here is a document or a form which they download, populate, and then re-upload into this portal. It really is that, it's up to you. Some people give them a sort of standardized format from which to submit their abstract. Now, at any point, they can save this as a draft and come back to it. And if they do that, they can just simply come into review and they'll see the areas which they haven't yet completed before submitting this paper. If they have done that, they'll actually be able to see the edit abstracts as I have done here. And then also, this is the same portal that if they are successful and accepted into the program, they can log back onto this portal and upload their speaker registration or go through their speaker registration on here. Okay, so once that's been submitted, it then goes through to the committee portal to allocate the reviewers to those papers. Okay, so this is now the committee portal. So you can see here they have access to managing the sessions, monitoring the reviewers, see if anybody's fallen behind, accepting the abstracts, and then allocating them into the program, as well as a few other tools which we'll go through. Now, if I want to allocate these reviewers, first of all, I'll see the paper that's been submitted. I can then choose my panel of reviewers, or maybe just individual reviewers, and I can then automatically allocate the reviewers to the paper based on maximum numbers of papers per reviewer or reviewers per paper. In here in Events, I will just simply allocate them, or I can just simply drag and drop them onto the paper that I want them to review. Now, at this point, you can have it trigger an automated email to the reviewer to say you've been allocated an abstract or a paper to review. Or if you're managing, hundreds and possibly thousands of papers, it may be that you just set up Events Air to send out a weekly email to just remind them to log onto their portal to check for any papers that have been assigned to them. So now I'm just going to head over to the reviewer portal now, because once you've been assigned as a reviewer, you get given access to a specific portal, which you can come into. You can filter the papers that have been assigned to you on the presentation types, or maybe the themes, just so you can keep your head in the game when you're marking these papers. Now, if I'm going to review this paper, what the reviewer will see is exactly the same layout as the presenting author saw. So I'll be able to see the title and the presentation type, the themes, the keywords. I would see the authors and affiliations unless it were blind reviewed. And then when it comes to marking this, actually, if I'm seeing the abstract yet, we can come to the abstract, view the abstract in here, or maybe I'm going to be uploading the document that was put through as the paper instead. And then when it comes to marking this, you as the organizer will have already configured how this paper is going to be scored. It might just be a simple accept, reject, or it's more likely a weighted criteria. So 20% might be attributed to the method, another further 50% is attributed to something else. And what Events Air will do is give the paper an overall score based on that weighted criteria. So I might have the weighted criteria as 1 to 5, 1 to 10, A, B, C, D. It's, again, up to you. You will configure all of that marking criteria in the back end of EventSAIR. Now here you can see that if I was the reviewer and thought, well, this paper was, it wasn't really that current or relevant to the programme, I can push this back to the author with my comments to say, look, actually you need to sort of focus it more on this year's research or whatever it might be. And that can go backwards and forwards to the author and reviewer as many times as you like, if you want. You don't have to have this option enabled. And then you can also then have the reviewers give the comments to the committee to say, look, I know this person, it wasn't actually their best work, but they're really well respected in their field. I think they'd be a valuable addition to the conference. They can put that in there, that sort of thing. And then once they've completed it, they just simply push it back to the committee with their comments. So I'm back in now the committee portal. I'm going to find my abstracts and have the overall say as to whether they are accepted or rejected. So I can see the paper. I can see my reviewers' comments and scoring on here, their weighted score, but then also how that relates to an overall score for the paper in here, and I can see these in here. So then me as the committee will have the overall say as to whether it's accepted or rejected. Now, if I accept this paper, it will trigger an automated email, if you want to the presenter to say, congratulations, now please log on to your portal to upload your full paper and give us some other information that you need as part of speaker registration. Similarly, if they're rejected, they might get an automated email that says, sorry, but you haven't been accepted on this time, but maybe here's a 10% discount on your delegate ticket or whatever however you want that to be structured is up to you. And then once we've accepted those papers, we then need to allocate them into the programme. So again, here's my papers that have been accepted. I'm going to choose my session, and then all I need to do is drag and drop that paper into the session in there. And that will then start building my agenda for me. There we go. So I'll then start building my agenda, and which I can tweak it and move it around if I want to. I might then also create an abstract book. So this is a bit of a throwback to pre-COVID days and before sustainability was really a thing. But actually, more times than not now, people will still download this book, but potentially create it as a PDF format instead. So when we download the book, we can include any elements that we want in here in the order that we want it to be displayed in. And it will download it, first of all, as a Word document. So you can further format it and edit it if you wish. Or you pass it on to your publishers to say, go and make it look pretty, make it a PDF link for me, and then I can include that in my app, my website, and maybe on the event portal itself. Now, all of that process is, I've just gone into the wrong event, actually. Let me just change my event with a bit more data in it. All of that process is tracked in the back end of EventSAIR as well. So this person, you may remember the name from all of those portals, but he is a submitting author. I can see the paper that he's submitted and the status that it's at. He's also a reviewer, just for ease of demonstration purposes. But I can see the papers that have been assigned to him and the status that they're at as well. He's actually been a bit lazy and not marked those papers. But then once he's actually been accepted into the programme, I can see which session he's been assigned to, when that's happening, and what his role is within that session as well. And all of that information will pull through to those automated emails as well. So right before, say a week before the event, I can trigger an email that goes out to all the presenters, and it will just specify the sessions they've been assigned to and their role within those sessions. So that's abstracts in a nutshell. So the other things I haven't really sort of covered on, which, I hope are sort of, well, it's probably not that obvious, but within this online tab here, I can create all sorts of portals to allow the people that are involved in the event to self-manage the information they need. So particularly things like the exhibition portal, you can allow exhibitors to log in, download their invoices, process their payments that they're required to make, give you all the information that you need, like logos and profiles and things like that. It also works if you are managing accommodation in different hotels. Each hotel can have their own portal to log into to see the updated guest list, updated arrival lists, departure lists, transfer lists, things like that. But also in here, particularly for the on-site environment and on-site events, you can have a manned check-in desk that's configured or a self-check-in kiosk. And so, of course, there's a whole host of different ways in which you can sort of just have all of that event management under one roof. So you're probably wondering how you would learn how to use this. You think, how on earth do I figure my way around this? So when you first come on board with EventShare, we first direct you to our online self-paced learning management platform. And what this does is, as soon as you come on board with EventShare, you get access to this. And this is self-paced, small, bite-sized lessons and topics which take you through all the core functionality in EventShare. So if I open up this one, for example, sending email communications, just open up here. There's a brief introduction about what to expect. Then you get into a bit of an overview video in here, walking you through what they're going to cover in the topic. Oh. And then once we've completed that, there's a little exercise to complete. Now you'll be asked to complete this exercise in the sandbox environment in EventShare. So you don't have to mess up your live events or your live event setups. You can have a sort of sandbox environment from which to sort of make all these practices and changes and tests and things like that in there. And then once that's done, there's a little short quiz that just like typically 3 to 5 questions long, just to make sure your understanding's correct. And then you just move on to the next one. Now, following that fast track training, you then get coaching hours with our team. And you have 60 days with a dedicated training and an implementation manager. And that's what I sort of covered briefly at the beginning. And then following that, you'll get 24/7 system level support from our guys. There's also a way that if your first event is coming up quite quickly and you think, oh my God, running this online is probably quite daunting, what you can actually have is our success team. In fact, this is probably where I should just switch back to my slide deck here. So let me just go back to here. So as I said, we have the onboard and we introduce you to the next members of the team, fast track training, one-to-one training. Ongoing support, you'll always have access to the fast track training, and there's also webinars that happen typically once a month for you. Now, if you're going online and your first event is coming up quite quickly and you think, oh God, I need that bit of extra resource, or I like to call it a bit of a security blanket for your event, you can actually bring our team in as part of your resourcing. Now, this can range from a full full service event management solution from, we will build, deliver and support the event. Or it may be that once you've gone through training, you're happy to build the event, but you need additional help in running sessions or managing your speakers and things like that. Our success team can help you with that. So you'll have an event coordinator that will be your primary point of contact. They'll work with the technical director to start configuring your event. And then in the background, you've got the Aircast producer who looks after sessions and speakers, tech support that look after your attendees, but also making sure the tech's, any sort of technical issues that may come up. And then there's also, if you do have a hybrid event, there's somebody who can help you configure the check-in kiosks, the self-check-in kiosks and things like that, and all those functional processes there. Okay, and in that scenario, you give us the attendee list, the collateral you want to use, and then we essentially just go away and build it for you. So there are different options that you can have from us as a service. I hope I haven't bored you too much with all my talking. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, it was not boring at all, but very interesting.
Good.
So I guess we'll go to the fun part.
Pricing, yeah. Yeah, let me just double check. So, so all of your events are medical conferences, correct?
Most of them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because let me just bring up the. Oh, in fact, I think I've just closed it. In fact, let me just bring up another document that I need to just. Bear with me just 2 seconds. There we go. So, for some reason, I can't ever remember the costing off the top of my head, so I have to find my document to give to you. So, Right, perfect. I thought it was. So let me just find my document again. So let me just share this screen just to show you what you get. So we have two ways in which we deliver this. There's the professional and the premium. Now, premium is where you'll be sitting because that allows you to run concurrent sessions. It gives you the design aspects within the 2D portal, but then crucially, there's the exhibition sponsorship and speaker management tools in here. Now, for that, you can run unlimited events, unlimited registrations, full training on onboarding, ongoing support. You get 3 user licenses included. How many users do you think you might need?
So you say, Leanne, because I didn't hear, you say we are 3 administrators, let's say?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I think that this is enough.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. Like I say, you can add to them. It's just that that's what comes included, and because we find that typically is suitable for most PCOs, particularly. So yeah, unlimited events, registrations, training, onboarding, 3 user licenses, your on-air 2D portal for €20,340 a year. How does that sound?
Yeah, okay, so Stamatis, you write it down because.
Yeah, can you say again the number because I didn't?
Oh yeah, 20. So 20340.
Okay. Per
This
year?
is
Per year. Yeah, that's per year.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
No, you're welcome. And so, yeah, that's like I said, that really unlocks all the functionality in Eventsurf for you to use across your client base, build your clients as much as you like, for just over €20,000 for the year. Let me just think what. The only additional costs to that are really if you choose to use on-air streaming, so our own Aircast streaming provider rather than Zoom, then there's just a small streaming cost that's assigned to that. But the way that we do that is that we only ever bill you based on consumption, and it's post-event. So after the event, we'll run a report. If you've chosen to use us, there's 2 ways in which we deliver that pricing as well, is that we either cap it. If you've got quite a large event, then it's quite useful just to cap it as a day rate for your attendees, or there's a pay-as-you-go model as well. And what we do is we always offer the best price guarantee on that, so you'll only ever pay the lowest of those 2 pricing models.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can send us details of this with an email?
Yeah, of course.
So we can discuss it with our boss and we'll get back to you about that.
No, that's fine. Is there an event that you've got coming up that you want this in place for? What's your sort of time?
Not right now, not. We're covered for now, but
Are you
near future when we'll see.
Yeah. Are you currently in a contract with any other provider, or are you just using your in-house service at the moment?
It's in-house.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine then. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, that's because what we normally do is when we do the subscription model, we do ask when your first event is, because like I say, if it's within 3 or 4 months, then you might want to consider having that success pack on it as well. And then the cost for the success pack really just depends on the scale of the event. Because of course, for us to run a 3-day 17-track agenda is largely different to a 1-day single-track 4-session event. So that's just an add-on service that you can apply if you need us.
Okay.
Fab. And I'll get this across to you with our premium pricing, and then maybe we can. When do you think would be best to catch up again?
We'll have to get back to you.
Yeah.
Because right now. We'll see. We have to discuss it in the company, and we'll get back to you with an email. Yeah. And we'll get back again. Yeah,
perfect. If I haven't heard from you in, I don't know, a week or so, I'll probably just give you a little nudge if that's okay, and just to see where you're at and what your next steps are.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time today, both of you. It's been fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.